Okay, so one more menu to take a look at really. If we go back into menu and go to setup down here, what we want to do is pay attention to two areas in this menu. First one is media select, and this will let you pick what you're recording to. If you want to go ahead and insert a memory card because you don't want to mess around with the camera's internal memory and you just like to pop your chip out and give the camera back to me when you're done, you could switch it here to memory card. But for the most part, you don't need a memory card for this class, so notice the icon changed up here. That's the memory card icon. If we switch back to internal, it shows this little wired chip. That's because we're recording to the internal. So then it will take some time to set that up and switch, and then you're set to record to that. So we will be recording to the internal memory. Alright, the other thing that people asked about today was bulk deleting anybody else's stuff on here. And whether or not you record to the internal memory or to your own SD card, it is always recommended that you format that particular piece of media. That's because if it was used by a different camera, there may be a different file structure that that camera likes as opposed to this one, and don't keep anything on there that you want to have saved, because if you do this, it's going to clear everything out. We're going to format the internal memory. It'll take a little while, not long, 7 seconds or so to do that. And it'll go through and format that for us and say that it's completed. Now, if you had an SD card in there, you can go through and you choose memory card. And of course, there's no memory card in there right now, but it's still offering to do that, which is interesting. I'm going to hit cancel and close this. Alright, so those are the two settings that I want to talk about that would be most used here. If we go down, file number, no, we're not going to change that generally. Data code, we're not going to change. The music feature is a weird proprietary Sony thing. Output connections, we don't need to change those. But there are a couple of other settings that may help. So, number one, this beep that is going on. I'm going to leave it on for this recording so you can see when I've hit when I've hit a button and recorded something. But if you prefer, you can turn that off. Personal preference for you as far as the beep goes, but that's where to disable it. Okay, you can adjust the LCD brightness. That is this screen here. Okay, for GPS setting, you can leave it on, it's fine. It's gonna, when you're shooting outside, gonna put that information in the files, which can be convenient. However, firing up the GPS requires more battery life than not, so I would say let's turn the GPS off, and I would leave it off in most of your setups just so you get slightly better battery life, and that'll help. Now, one of the other settings that is pretty interesting in here that you can manipulate is this record lamp. When you press the record button, you know, the red light comes on in front of the camera. That can be useful if you're working with someone who's familiar with working in television, like a reporter or someone like that, or you get someone from the class. But when you're interviewing people, the record lamp can be sort of intimidating. So one of the things that I will do if I'm going out to interview someone who's never been on television before, I will turn that off, so that when they look at the camera, there's no indication of whether or not it's recording. Generally, it'll relax them a little bit more, and I found that you get a better interview. So I turn off the record lamp because if I'm behind the camera, I can see whether or not my camera's recording, and in this case, it's in standby. Those are pretty much all of the modes that I would tell you. The other thing I would say is if demo mode is on, go ahead and turn it off. That will prevent the camera from showing you all of the crazy kooky features that it has, and then you don't have to worry about getting it out of whatever mode it's in, and it's just better for everyone. Alright, I think that's everything. You can adjust the date and time and your time zone and all that, but that's all. Okay, we did talk about edit and copy, which will let you go in and delete individual clips. There aren't any on here, of course, no images, but if we were to record some, then we could do this. Playback function will let you go in and preview any kind of videos, but we generally don't need to do that. We're going to do it on a computer. There are some different shooting modes. For the most part, we're going to leave ours in movie. However, you don't get a lot of control and you don't get any sound recorded, but the smooth slow motion record could be useful for some of the projects that you're planning. I don't know why there's a dedicated golf swing mode. That seems completely bizarre. And the other mode is photo. But the way the smooth motion record works, and I haven't been able to find out what kind of frame rate it is, at least it's not listed in the manual, is it when you press record, it'll start for 3 seconds and record up to 12 seconds. No sound, but apparently in a way that allows you to do very smooth slow motion. So like I said, for the most part, we'll leave it in movie. Okay, and that is the tour of the menu settings. Next we'll go over recording.